Veterans National Foundation. We're glad that you can make it with us today to hear the final segment of our three-part webinar series on vet empowerment. Today, our speakers are going to be, as last 2 weeks, we got Mr. Jeff Garton. And again, Jeff is best-selling career author and former head of global staffing for Kraft Foods and Miller Brewing, and president of Career Contentment, Inc. And he is just great with veteran empowerment training, and he has done a great job with running these webinars, and we're really appreciative of his efforts. And joining Jeff today, we have Mr. Frank Campanaro. Mr. Campanaro was supposed to be in last week, and he got stuck on an airplane for a little while, so we're glad he could make it in today. Frank is a service-disabled U.S. Army Ranger, and he's the CEO of Trillicorp Construction, which Inc. magazine had recognized as one of the fastest-growing private companies in America. Frank is also the founding partner of vetpower.org, where he leads the way in helping his fellow veterans achieve financial independence through meaningful employment and entrepreneurship. So we're glad Frank could make it in with us today. So today's topic is going to be power of mind, how to leverage and maintain vet power. And Mr. Garton is going to begin and tell us all about this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to use our chat function to ask them throughout the entire webinar. And with that, I will turn it over to Jeff Garton.
Okay, thanks, Doug. And I'm going to turn it over to Frank, the guy that brought me into this program. Frank, take it away.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Doug, appreciate that. Disabled Veterans National Foundation and all the participants and you veterans who are attending the third and final webinar to discuss the veteran empowerment training. We appreciate you being here today, and thanks for giving me a couple minutes. For those of you who missed the first two webinars, I'd like to tell you briefly about Vet Power, myself as well. Doug did a pretty good job, but I want to add that I'm a successfully transitioned veteran, and it's a difficult process, and not all of us make it right away. And so we all serve for a reason, right? We know that it's not what we do, it's what we empower others to do while we're here on Earth. And so with that, we wanted to take our success in business, our success in transition, and take it to the next level. We have mentored and empowered brother and sister veterans over the years through our businesses, and then we realized that we would do a better service if we converted it to a nonprofit and brought people in like Jeff and all the others that are now jumping on board to help so we could take this to the next level. And that's kind of how we got to where we are. If you notice the slide, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are focused on engaging employers and other nonprofit organizations in delivering the veteran empowerment training to veterans and their families. And the family side of this is important because we all know that what the veteran goes through, the family goes through too. The family actually goes to war, if you will, even though it's back here. And then when the veteran comes back, the family goes through the same situation the veteran goes through, just from a different way. So we're really focused on the family as well. We provide online coaching through workshops and other methodologies. If you look at slide 4, over the past 3 weeks, Jeff Garton and Dick White, a Vietnam veteran, and another board member have covered a lot of ground. And this is just a portion of the information you'll find inside the virtual classroom that we call Veteran Empowerment Training. If you look at the slide labeled Takeaway, I'm just going to read for you. Being a veteran gives you a unique and competitive advantage. This we know. Sometimes, however, though, we don't know how to relay that in the private sector. Number 2, you are more powerful and enduring than you realize. And sometimes we're so in the military focused on following orders and focused on the team and not ourselves that we forget when we get to the private sector. Sometimes we need to focus on ourselves in order to get on the team. And sometimes that needs to be brought forward or transition appropriately. So we work on that. That really, in essence, is what we call vet power. By the power of your mind, you are equipped to succeed regardless. And we all know this. We've all heard take the hill or die trying. We know what that means. We just need to convert that to the private sector. Number 4, vet and power the right mindset to capitalize on this advantage. In other words, to sum it up, how do we take everything we learned on the military side and convert it to the private sector and make that cutting-edge success? That's what people are looking for. That's what they expect from us, but we have to learn how to speak their language. Therefore, in the first webinar, we said employers hire veterans because veterans are presumed to have the mental discipline to succeed in situations where civilian workers might not. You know, no disrespect to our brothers and sisters in the private sector, but the truth is veterans do have unique training. So, to get a job, you must learn to fulfill this expectation when interviewing. It starts with the interview. You must learn to demonstrate your vet power. In the second webinar, we pointed out how recent scientific breakthroughs suggest that by improving your mindfulness and mental mastery, you can transcend or rise above your difficult circumstances and create a better reality for yourself. We refer to this as veteran empowerment. If you go to slide 5, today in part 3, Jeff Garton, and by the way, just a quick sidestep here, you know, in our company we refer to people as veterans and patriots. Everybody serves in their own way. We're all citizens, we all belong to this country, and everybody's got something to do. Jeff is a patriot of the highest caliber, and we could not do this without Jeff. Not just what he brings to the table technically, but who he is as a person. So, Jeff, we really appreciate you. You're getting ready to take this away, but I want to say that you're going to provide more detail and kind of recap the first 2 webinars for anybody who didn't get them. And then you're going to discuss how to maintain and demonstrate, how a veteran can demonstrate and maintain their vet power, despite all the challenges posed by anyone's current transition or transition to be as they get out in this difficult job market. It is a really, really tough place right now, and this training is just fantastic. So to all, I hope you enjoy the seminar. I'm in an airport. I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to hand off to my friend and devoted patriot, Jeff, and hopefully this ends up just being more than you expected. Jeff, take it away.
Okay, Frank, thanks a man. Well, last week, the first webinar, we defined what presumed vet power is, and it's what other people presume to be true about veterans. Because of the rigorous training and experiences, civilians endow veterans and employers with favorable characteristics like strength, confidence, courage, discipline, loyalty, and honor. And we presume these things to be true, even if a veteran doesn't actually possess those characteristics until they prove to us otherwise. So we made the point that why employers hire veterans is not because of their resume, cover letter, interview skills, polished image, or patriotism. Vets are hired based on the presumed vet power to improve productivity and profits. So if your vet power is obvious, you'll be judged as likable and employable. And if we're talking about a vet-friendly employer, it won't matter as much if you lack the right image or transferable job skills. However, if your vet power is not obvious, meaning you look and act no better than the millions of discouraged civilian job hunters out there, the employer will look for excuses not to hire you. They'll say you lack transferable skills or assume you may go postal with PTSD. So here's the bottom line. We said employment in the new economy is all about performance and productivity, which can give veterans an edge when they learn how to strengthen their presumed vet power and demonstrate it during interviews. And our suggestion was search where you're wanted and show employers you have what it takes. But here's the challenge. How do you gain that power when dealing with all of the emotional turmoil associated with your transition, unemployment, rising debt, rejections, or any other personal challenges that can cause discouragement and depression? Well, last week, in Webinar 2, we explained that in any economy, the only way to maintain and demonstrate your vet power is by strengthening your human propulsion system. And here's what I mean. Emotions are the engine that propels human performance. People radiate energy by their emotions, which are created only by how you think. In other words, whatever happens to you does not cause how you feel. It's how you think about what happens to you that can make you feel up, down, or neutral, and only great human emotions. So because you can control how you think, this gives you the power to control your reactions to people and things you can't control. Now, we all know this stuff happens, and it's real, and you can't always prevent it. But no matter how bad your circumstances may be, you still have control over how you think about them, which empowers you to control how you react. In fact, you can even plan your reactions to upcoming challenges, and then think accordingly to experience the reactions you want. And that you have the power, this power, enables you to transform the mountains in your life into molehills, to create heaven on earth, as we said last week. But if you allow yourself to think automatically or negatively, even the little molehills in your life can become dreadful mountains, a hell on earth. And again, you control your reactions, and you do that by learning to then empower how you think. So by the power of your mind, in combination with the power of your heart and emotions, scientists are discovering that you can actually heal your body, improve your well-being, and rev up your self-motivation for peak performance, which is exactly what employers are looking for. Scientists are also that at the quantum level of existence, your world is comprised of vibrating particles of energy that, to the human eye, it looks to be solid. Everything and everyone is vibrating energy. And as we said earlier, you vibrate energy emotions. And scientists are now investigating how the emotional energy you radiate changes your DNA and how those changes contribute to creating your reality, or what seems so real to you. So if you want the good life, and heaven on earth, learn to think intentionally to create the best emotional energy, the emotions of, as we said, joy, optimism, excitement, enthusiasm, and gratitude, no matter what happens. Now, to illustrate just how powerful a creator you really are, we discussed research in quantum physics, resuscitation technology, and with the help of Colonel Diane Corcoran, who is now president of the International Association of Near-Death Studies, we also discussed research in the area of near-death experiences and how breakthroughs and all of these scientific, how there are actually two of you. Now, there's the material you here on the left, which is your mortal brain and body, and a quantum you, which is your eternal mind and spirit. The quantum you on the right is the battery, so to speak, that with the help of your biological computer creates the emotional energy we're talking about and the potential heaven on earth, the good life. The quantum you exists apart from the material you, which is technically referred to as non-local consciousness. And the quantum you is responsible for thinking that is conscious and intentional. Your brain, well, that's responsible for thinking that is non-conscious or automatic to keep your body alive. And the material you is supposed to take orders from the quantum you and in turn make your body execute those orders. And believe it or not, when the material you dies, the quantum you lives on in another realm, ultimately to return again for more training on the University of Planet Earth. Now, those of you who were not here last week, we encourage participants to be skeptical about this mind-body separation and do your own research. Science refers to this as an inclusive worldview, whereby consciousness and spirituality are the new frontier for improving health, well-being, and human performance. So what we're suggesting is open your mind and get with the program. This is where science is going, and faster than you can imagine. Now, here's how that inclusive worldview affects you. Essentially, your ability to empower your best performance and to create the good life despite all the bad stuff happening depended on the effectiveness of the quantum you, which we call the boss, to regulate how you think to produce the best emotions that enable you to improvise, adapt, and overcome in the civilian world. But for this to work, we said the boss needs to change some bad thinking habits. Last week, we said Harvard researchers found that the boss has the bad habit of failing to take responsibility for how you think. Because you lack training to improve how you think, 47% up to 95% of your thinking is on automatic. And during that time is when you're the most unhappiest. You unknowingly spend a majority portion of it creating a sad reality, then blame other people or the events in your life for the problems you unintentionally created. Now, rather than focus on the outside world, what you're doing, you allow your mind to engage in what the researchers called mind wandering. And then your brain hijacks your intentional thinking from the boss. And when that happens, you go within and you commiserate, ruminate, analyze, and dwell on all your past mistakes and worry about the unknown future and innocently create the wrong emotions, that living hell on earth. Now, unless you learn to raise your consciousness levels and regain control of your intentional thinking, you don't even realize you're doing this to yourself. Well, that's the recap of the last 2 weeks. So now, today, in this final webinar, let's discuss how the boss can strengthen and maintain your vet power despite all the bad stuff happening out there. Here we go. Right now, some of you may be thinking, yeah, right, where's the good life for me? Why can't I be happy? Remember what we said. If you want the good, if you have to create it. As real as the world around you seems, science is telling us it's a virtual reality. It's created by your thoughts, emotions, and DNA. And I realize this whole idea of virtuality is difficult to imagine, but your world is a reflection of how you think and feel. And if you're thinking, why can't I be happy, the world will reflect back to you more unhappiness. What you're doing is unintentionally creating that sad reality. You are what you think. Let me help you understand what I'm talking about. You remember learning about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow said, we're unhappy much of the time because we live with a deficiency mindset. We all want to realize our full potential, which is at the top of the pyramid, but we think that can't happen unless we have all of our lower needs met first. Our brain tells us that internal self-talk. I can't be happy unless I have food, clothing, and shelter. Then, the next level, I can't be happy unless I have a job and financial security. I can't be happy unless I'm wanted and loved. I can't be happy unless I'm respected and can make a contribution. So we live with a deficiency mindset because we allow our brains to think automatically about what our neighbors have that we don't have. Your brain is doing this automatically. It's doing its job to keep your body safe, healthy, and fulfilled. But at the same time, focusing on all your lacks and needs is causing you to feel miserable and desperate. Please, let me have that job. Then the world reflects back to you more of what you lack, more deficits, more desperation, and more long-term unemployment because that's what you were thinking. And later in his life, Maslow realized he gave us a checklist for tracking our misery. So just before he died, he added another level to the top of his pyramid, and the experts forgot to tell us about this. In 1971, Maslow added the new level he called self-transcendence, which is what veteran empowerment training is all about. Maslow said, when you can turn off your automatic brain thinking and think intentionally with your mind, you can transcend or rise above your unmet needs and still persevere to achieve self-actualization. So rather than live with a deficiency mindset and allow your brain to create a sad reality, self-empower your human propulsion system to create a better reality, the high-octane emotions that get you up and moving so the world reflects back to you the success that you were enabled to achieve. So when we talk about mindset, we're talking about a way of thinking that's purposeful to accomplish what you desire. Just like these happy mover-goers, as you can see, these folks aren't mind-wandering or consumed by their worries and troubles. They're concentrated on enjoying the movie. And by choosing to think intentionally about the movie, they created a movie mindset. It enables them to forget about their problems and enjoy this experience. And so by the power of their mind, they switched off the strain in their lives and switched on greater ease so they can be entertained. We all have this ability to switch off the strain in our lives, but we don't. For example, within minutes after leaving this movie, you watch, many of these people will unintentionally switch off the ease in their lives by allowing their minds to begin thinking about unpaid bills, problems at work, a lump on their body, difficulties in their relationships, and by the time they get home, their peace of mind and attitude will be negatively impacted by the strain they unintentionally switched on. And it wasn't their challenges that caused the strain, but how they allowed themselves to think about those challenges. Here's the question you need to be asking yourself. Since you're the boss of your thinking, and you have the power to switch on greater ease in your life anytime, why would you allow your brain to hijack your thinking and to cause more strain and a sad reality? How is that helping you? Or look at it from the employer's point of view. Employers want workers who can self-empower their ease for increased productivity. And so before the interview, why would you think in such a way that creates the wrong emotions that can weaken your attitude and performance, that human propulsion system? Here's what I'm talking about. Researchers from the Brookings Institute have found that job hunters with the wrong mindset conduct their search with the ease turned off, Due to their mind wandering and negative thinking, they tend to sleep later, watch more TV during the day, and they experience more sadness and depression. Realize how their bad thinking is weakening their human propulsion system. And after 5 months of searching, they become discouraged and stop looking. Now, check out this job seeker's mindset. Is he switching on more ease in his life? Will his thinking create high-octane emotions? What kind of reality is he creating? Is he thinking intentionally, or is his thinking unintentional? See, without realizing what he's doing, this guy is unintentionally switching on greater strain and creating a sad reality, conducting his job search in response to the emotions of fear, worry, envy, doubt, and anger. He's self-sabotaging his motivation, performance, and potential. As a result, this guy may end up passing on a job he could have landed. He may become discouraged and stop looking. He might settle for a lesser paying job, and he may never realize that he was the cause of his weakened attitude to prolonged unemployment. In fact, he'll even forget he had this thought and blame others for the difficulties he created for himself. Why do we do this? Why do we become our own worst enemies, thinking in a manner that opposes ourselves, our best intentions? Here's why. We don't see the dangers that our bad thinking creates. We know not to play with guns and sharp objects or fire because the physical dangers are immediately apparent. We don't exercise the same precautions when we think because psychological dangers are not immediately apparent. That's because there's a delay between when the thought occurs and when we experience the danger it creates. So if we could see more clearly or more immediately how our thoughts can sour our attitude, weaken our performance, and cause ill health and bad impressions, we'd be more cautious about how we think. In order to prevent these problems, we have to learn to think intentionally. And here's the payoff. Researchers from the Bureau of Economic Research have found that job hunters with the right mindset function with greater ease. Their propulsion systems are fueled by the high-octane emotions they create. As a result, employers consider these people to be more likable, which means they're considered to be more optimistic and personable, and more highly resilient to deal with their challenges. These irresistible workers not only find jobs faster, the research says they're more rapidly promoted after they land the job. So let me show you how easy it is to cross or create more ease in your life. In the middle of the slide, I want you to read this statement with me. Go along with me. By regulating how I think, my mindset, I can experience any emotion I choose without regard to my circumstances. One more time. Read it with me. By regulating how I think, my mindset, I can experience any emotion I choose without regard to my circumstances. Now analyze this. What does this mean? What does it mean that you can experience any emotion you choose without regard to your circumstances? Here it is. Are you ready? It means you don't need a job to feel like you have a job. Regardless of whatever your circumstances may be, you can still cause yourself to experience joy, optimism, excitement, enthusiasm, and gratitude, which is essential to self-empower your best attitude, performance, and impressions. So if you're looking for a job, you should be conducting the same emotions you expect to have after you get a job. That's the quantum you. That the quantum you has the ability to switch on ease at any time is what employers are looking for. They want to know, do you have the right mindset to self-propel your best attitude and performance despite the work conditions that can't always be made satisfying? So here's what this statement really means. It means you can create joy in sad situations, excitement and enthusiasm in dull and boring situations, courage and confidence in frightening situations, and you can create gratitude in any situation. This is possible because the human emotions are not created by your circumstances, but by how you choose to think about what happens, which means you've got an important decision to make. We all do. Who do you want to be the boss of your life? Do you stick with being just the material you, allowing your brain to think automatically and then unintentionally create all the wrong emotions that can create more strain in your life and a sad reality? Or do you make the quantum you more responsible for how you think to intentionally create the best emotions that will help you create more ease? And each of us has this option to improve how we think. And this is what some of you are thinking right now. It's too hard to change how you think, or that your situation is different that your circumstances are so tough you deserve to feel bad, and changing how you think won't make a darn bit of difference. And here's what's happening. You either let your brain hijack your thinking, or you simply fail to realize that when this is happening, because as we said, the psychological dangers are not immediately apparent. Bad thinking is habitual. If you want to improve your life, you have to create new thinking habits. The truth is, changing how you think is one of the fastest and easiest things you're capable of doing. I'll show you. Imagine I'm right there with you, and we're standing outside in the parking lot. And imagine I pull out a $100 bill and I make you this proposition. I'll give you a $100 bill if you let me drive this SUV over your foot. Now, probably doing serious damage to your foot. Would you take the money? I'll bet the majority of you are thinking, no way. Although you'll not take it because a trip to the hospital will fix your broken foot will cost more than $100, so no thanks. So then I offer you another proposition. This time I propose that you simply ask for the $100 bill. I'll hand it over to you, no strings attached, no driving over your foot. Just say please, and I'll give you the money and drive away. Would you take the money? Of course you would. And now look, in the blink of an eye, what did you just do? You changed how you think. First you said, no, I won't take the money. Then you said, yes, show me the money. How hard was that? It wasn't hard at all. And here's the point. Changing how you think on any topic is fast and easy. All you need is a good reason, and boom, it's done. Just like that. Your thinking has changed. So, what's the good reason or incentive for changing how you think about your ability to find a good job in this economy? What's a good enough reason for the quantum you to take back control of your intentional thinking? What will it take for you to think I can instead of I can't, or they'll like me instead of they won't like me, or I have what it takes to succeed, transferable job skills? Here's the incentive, the reason to improve how you think, feel, and perform. Employment is by invitation only, which means if they don't like you, they don't have to hire you. And contrary to what you might expect, employers don't always hire the people who have the best qualifications. You can have the best credentials, amazing experience, an impressive resume, polished image, and practice, but if the employer doesn't like you, you won't get the job. In this economy, with so many well-qualified job hunters out there to select from, employers are looking for more than just your impressive credentials and your waxed-on image or impressive interview skills. What most people don't realize is that staffing is a two-stage process, and the majority of job hunters do a great job preparing for stage one, but are typically unprepared for stage two. In stage one, on the left, employers expect that you'll do all the right things to make yourself more discoverable than the other guy. However, your paperwork, job skills, and image only qualify you for consideration. They help get your foot in the door, but they don't keep you there. And here's why. Employers realize that over 75% of job hunters exaggerate their qualifications. Their resumes are often prepared by professional resume writing services. Anyone can purchase good credentials. You may look good on the outside, but employers are more concerned with what's under the hood of your human propulsion system. So in stage two, on the right, employers rely on various interview techniques and assessments to probe beneath your polished surface to examine if you have the right mindset to perform well, and if you can get along with others inside their organization. They want to confirm if you're qualified for hire. If you are, that's what makes you more likable than the other guy. Now, it's the combination of what makes you qualify for consideration and thereafter what makes you qualify for hire. That's what employers refer to as your right fit in chemistry. And it works like this. Right fit refers to discoverable, qualified for consideration, your stage one occupational skills and job search skills. Right chemistry refers to what makes you likable and qualified for hire, your stage two mental skills to perform well, regardless of your circumstances. Now, all three of these skill sets are important. But if an employer decides you have the right mindset to get along with other workers, and succeed in their organization, they'll hire you across the board, even if your occupational and job search skills are not so impressive. In fact, interviewers may even tell you that although you don't have all the qualifications they were looking for, they really like you, they need you, and want you. Employers hire people, not their paperwork. Now, that would be like marrying someone just for their good looks and then later discovering your incompatibilities. Now, if the employer decides you lack the right mindset to succeed in their environment, they'll reject you across the board, even though your occupational and job search skills may have been far better than any of the other candidates. However, here's the thing. They won't tell you the reason why they're rejecting you is your weak mindset. They'll simply tell you they found someone better qualified, or if you're getting feedback, they'll make up some reason related to your occupational skills or job search skills. Consequently, you really don't know what you need to improve, which can prolong your job search unnecessarily. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is the explanation employers typically give a veteran when the qualifications may be good, but it's presumed they lack vet power, the right mindset. So why so many job hunters who look good on paper are rejected is because their preparation is largely focused on making themselves qualified for consideration. They're made discoverable but lack training that makes them likable hire. Employment isn't just about your transferable job skills. It's about your mindset and motivation to make those skills work for you. That's what distinguishes the best from the rest. You can't show up for the interview and have it appear that your human propulsion system has been drained by the strain in your life. And if you do, assume you'll have performance issues down the road. And with so many qualified people looking for jobs, employers don't have to take that risk today. Keep in mind, employment is not a science. It's a process managed by humans and subject to human errors and inclinations. In fact, every organization and every interview has their own definition for what right fit in chemistry means. For legal reasons, recruiters and interviewers, they'll never admit, but their final decision is often a feeling that is influenced more by you, the person, your perceived vet power, not your paperwork or credentials. And that's why interviewers spend 2 minutes looking at your resume, then spend 58 minutes trying to figure out what kind of mindset you have. So top on the recruiters list are the ninja superstar water walkers, the exceptional recruits who show up for the interview with a vet-empowered mindset to persevere and perform well. So now, that's your good reason to improve how you think. But will this really work? Will improving how you think, raising your consciousness levels, vet-empowering your right mindset, will that actually improve how you feel and enable you to create a better reality despite all the difficulties happening around you? The answer is yes. Here's what the science tells us. We each have 4 states of consciousness. Here we see the first 3, awake, sleeping, and dreaming. And in combination, the average person uses these 3 states of consciousness to produce over 60,000 thoughts each and every day, more than just per second. Some of your thoughts are intentional. The majority of them are automatic or unintentional, based on what you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. The 4th state of consciousness demonstrates how you can actually improve how you think. That 4th state of consciousness is try to slow down your thinking and focus your mind on maintaining just one thought for 20 minutes twice a day. With practice, you can do this, but your automatic brain thinking actually continues. You can't turn your brain off from thinking, except with anesthesia. So the solution to improving how you think is what we've been talking about throughout this 3-part webinar series. What's most important is not changing what you think. That would be impossible. Thoughts happen too fast, and there are too many of them for you to catch and change. In fact, how would you know which of your 60,000 thoughts to change? You don't, except to pay attention to those times when you feel blue and then try to identify the thought that caused the feeling. That's a lot of work, which is more realistic, involves changing how you think. And the meditative state of consciousness shows how this works. Now, as you meditate, your brain continues pumping out automatic thoughts to help your body stay alive. And as this is happening, use the power of your mind to avoid processing all of those automatic thoughts, or you make those thoughts meaningless so you can easily ignore them. Your mind remains focused on thinking intentionally as your brain continues thinking automatically. And again, with enough practice, your brain will actually slow down this processing. That you can improve your intentional thinking during a meditative state suggests you can do this as well when you're not meditating, when you're awake. Now, on the top of this slide, we see the brain scan and the EEG printout of a person who is not meditating. Notice the gaps in the structure of the brain and how firing off more than 2 thoughts per second makes the EEG look pretty chaotic. And that's what your brain looks like most of the day. On the bottom of this slide is the same person, but this time they're in a meditative state. Can you see the difference? Medical studies demonstrate how the act of meditating changes the structure of the brain. There are less gaps and greater connectivity. And then in addition, the EEG readout is smooth and it's more coherent. And it's during these periods of mental rest when the brain slows down and your mind creates the opportunity for improved concentration, performance, and as we said before, even healing. So yeah, improving how you think is not only possible, it actually works. And it's essential to your ability to succeed during these difficult times. Just as Maslow said, by the power of your mind, you're able to turn off your brain thinking and deficit mindset and use your Vet empowerment mindset to transcend or rise above your difficult circumstances and still achieve self-actualization. So it's not what you think that's important, but how you use your mind to think in a good manner to self-empower the high-octane emotions that fuel your human propulsion system. Here you see the list of veteran empowerment techniques we've been discussing during this webinar series. These are sometimes referred to as your coping skills, which is what we're going to be talking about next. For obvious reasons, you can't life half asleep or in a meditative state, but what you can do is use the power of your veteran-empowered mind to help you cope with life's challenges. And there are three main coping strategies you typically rely on to enhance your likability to employers, and despite all of the challenges going on in your world. What the researchers tell us is that your ability to cope well depends on your ability to control your life circumstances, but we know that's not always possible. You can't control the economy or the job market, and you can't control the willingness of employers to create more jobs. But what you can control is your mindset, which enables you to control your reactions to those circumstances and examine how you cope with life's persistent challenges. Here are the first two coping strategies that the majority of us grew up with. The third strategy involves science of the mind, which we talked about last week. And this strategy didn't officially exist until fairly recently, so I'll talk about that one in just a minute. For a long, long time, problem-focused coping was considered the best strategy, which involves taking action. If smoking creates a problem, then take action to stop smoking. If drinking creates a problem, take action to stop drinking. If talking too much creates a problem, take action to stop talking so much. Changing your situation is a good idea, and it involves taking action to plan, problem solve, get some help, stand up for yourself, and create boundaries. Problem-focused coping actually works well, but only if you have the power to change your situation. If you don't, you become frustrated and discouraged, then you give up and stop trying. Now, if taking action to change your situation doesn't help cope well, emotion-focused coping might. This second strategy involves changing how you temporarily feel about your situation. Here's how this works. Let's say you owe money to a creditor, but you're short on funds and can't make a payment. In the meantime, they keep calling, sending you letters and emails requesting that you make a payment. So rather than feel worried and miserable about this situation, you make yourself feel better by denying there is a problem. You avoid dealing with the situation. You distract yourself by doing something else. You self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. You keep hoping the problem will disappear. You say your prayers, and then you finally accept that the situation is not resolvable for the time being. No matter what you do to make yourself feel better, the problem's still there, and it continues to grow. Again, these are the two strategies we grew up with. Neither is ideal, but here's the thing. If these two coping strategies are not entirely effective, even though they're not entirely effective, at least for the short time, they can help make your life easier, and you should use them. They might even save your life. Now we come to the Cadillac of coping strategies, which didn't exist until after the introduction of new medical scanning technologies during the 1990s, technology that enabled researchers to study the brain in real time and finally figure out how your human propulsion system really works. Third strategy is meaning-focused coping. Now, since it's not always possible to change your circumstances and changing how you feel works only temporarily, the idea here is to change yourself, your mindset, to better deal with your circumstances. And you do this by improving how you think and the meanings you assign to what happens. So to create an ease reaction, just as we've been talking about. So through meaning-focused coping, you're self-empowering your human propulsion system To self-transcend and rise above your challenges, you turn off your brain thinking and use your power of your mind to create a better reality. Let's say you've had 3 interviews resulting in 3 rejections. Rather than think you're unwanted and create the wrong emotions and strain that can harm your self-esteem, you decide to change how you think about rejections. You decide to think non-negatively, which involves assigning meanings that are realistic but also optimistic. You choose to think that, for example, while rejections are not pleasant, they enable you to perfect your approach to employers. They help to ensure that you don't take the wrong job, and that each rejection puts you one step closer to the best job for you. So by assigning a better meaning to your circumstances, you protect your self-esteem and create ease that enables your human propulsion system to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And today, psychologists now believe meaning-focused coping provides the best solution to help you succeed in the new economy. And here's why that is. From another point of view, take a look at what's been happening here. For decades, we've had our coping strategies in reverse. Psychologists tell us that we think first, feel second, and then we take action based on how we caused ourselves to feel. What we've been doing is acting before thinking, and we've been allowing unhelpful emotions to get in the way of good. When you act before thinking, that's like typing out an email and pushing the send button and then later realizing you said something you shouldn't have. And when you allow your feelings to interfere with good thinking, that's like allowing fears and worries to occupy your mind and then talking yourself out of doing something you should do, like going to a job fair or cold calling a target employer. So let's turn the situation around the way it's supposed to be. There you have it. This is the prescription for proper coping. How to vet empower the right mindset to help you transcend or persevere and perform well despite the emotional turmoil associated with your difficult circumstances. You think first to intentionally develop your best mindset, using non-negative thoughts to create the high-octane emotions to act upon, so to urge your best efforts, results, and impressions. You act in response to emotions that were created by how you think. That's how you vet empower your human propulsion system. Now, how do you demonstrate your vet power? We said you vet empower your human propulsion system to become the person you want others to perceive you to be. Here's what you do. First, ask yourself this question. Your military experience favorably shaped who you've become and what you have to offer. Then you must ensure that those same assets are apparent in your attitude and behavior so that others can agree with your self-assessment. Here are some questions to help you do that. This slide is included in your handouts, so you don't really have to write this down. First, you list up to 10 positive truths about you that you can attribute to your military training experience. What did you do? What did you get out of the military that made you a better person? Next, and for each truth, describe how it makes you a better person and a better worker. If you write these things out, be sure to use the terms an employer can understand and relate to. Now, when evaluating your vet power and likability, employers examine the total package, your mindset, credentials, and image. However, as we said this before, unless you have the right mindset to perform well, it won't matter to employers how impressive your images may be. Your mindset is the foundation that fuels your human propulsion system employers want to see. So from the interviewer's point of view, you are identified by your mindset, your beliefs, thoughts, and intentions. What they're looking for is this. Are your beliefs self-empowering or self-limiting? Are you shooting yourself in the foot? Or are your thoughts non-negative to support you? Are your intentions clear and purposeful? Do you know what you desire? And do you have what it takes, the vet power to get it? Then, and again from the interviewer's point of view, you are characterized by your attitude and emotions that are the result of your beliefs and thoughts. So within just a few minutes after starting the interview, interviewers are already looking to see if you have an upbeat attitude and that your emotions lift you up rather than pull you down. So again, if you're looking as if the difficult economy and the job market have drained the vet power from your human propulsion system, it's at this point during the interview where the communication shuts down. There's just no business justification to hire you from the interviewer's point of view. Then you are observed by your personality and actions that are the result of your attitude and emotions. You think first, feel second, then take action based on how you cause yourself to feel. Now the interviewer is attempting to assess if you are who you say you are. Will others like you and be able to get along with you, and will you get along with them? Do you walk your talk, or are you just all talk? And finally, you are judged by your results and impressions that are the result of your personality and actions. Now the interviewer is pulling this all together to assess your integrity. Did you do what you said you would do? Do you have the right mindset and just to do it all again, but this time for a different employer? Do you have the goods, the total package, the vet-empowered mindset to persevere and perform well and to cope well despite working conditions the employer can't always make satisfying? Now, we refer to what's inside these 4 boxes as the fruits of your mindset, which means they're also the fruits of your vet power. These all begin with, and they are all the byproducts of the type of mindset you have. And only you have the power to control them by regulating how you think, feel, and then take action, your human propulsion system. Strengthening that system is the focus of our veteran empowerment training. So here's how that works. On the right here, we've listed the 4 fruits of your vet-empowered mindset we just talked about. Veteran empowerment training teaches you how to vet empower each of these 4 areas to create the right mindset, attitude, and performance that employers are looking for. And so to set up the training, what we did is we integrated the results of research involving hundreds of successful job hunters who found jobs faster than the competition. We asked them, what did you do? Why were you so successful? And they said they did all the traditional work to prepare themselves. They networked to locate leads, and then they made themselves available for interviews, and then it suddenly happened. Boom. They were discovered and considered likable by the employers who hired them. They said it felt like the job found them. Now, when probing deeper into what this meant, we discovered that there were 4 things these people did differently to make themselves stand out from the competition. And only after they did these 4 things did it feel to them like the job found them. The 4 things they did are what we call the 4 tipping points. And as you'll see here, they correspond to the fruits of your mindset. Here's how it works. The first tipping point, you know what job you desire, is the foundation to your right mindset. It's associated with your beliefs, thoughts, and intentions. Now, notice I didn't say you know what job you need or you know what job you want. I said you know what job you desire. From a mindset point of view, successful job hunt on connecting with the type of work they were most passionate about, what they desire, rather than allowing themselves to think negatively about needing, wanting, and lacking a job and creating what Maslow calls a deficiency mindset that makes them appear desperate to employers. They thought non-negatively or intentionally to create excitement and enthusiasm. This enabled them to function with greater ease. They were resolved, realistic, and optimistic. And when they mastered the first tipping point, they moved to the second one. Here it is. You believe it will happen, that you'll get the job you desire. Now, remember what we said earlier. You can create any emotion you choose without regard to your actual circumstances, and that's exactly what they did as a part of the second tipping point. To keep themselves in a favorable state of mind and working with greater ease, successful leaders function with the same emotions they expected to have after they landed their new job. They did this by using the power of their mind to imagine already having that job. Despite any challenges along the way, this is how they continued to create and function in response to the high-octane emotions we talked about. Now imagine meeting one of these upbeat job hunters and seeing the excitement in their eyes and hearing the enthusiasm in their voice, and how different this would make them appear than the thousands of job hunters who seem fatigued and discouraged. You can begin to see what makes these certain job hunters so likable to employers, the type of mindset they have. And when they mastered the second tipping point, they moved to the third. Here it is. You manage doubts. Now, we spoke about this as well. During the third tipping point, successful job hunters turned off their automatic brain thinking, that negative self-talk that can hold you down and keeps you cowering within the comfort zones. Instead, what they did, they used their minds to think intentionally and pushed themselves to work harder and longer and do more things that would make it. Then an interesting thing happened. The more upbeat and discoverable they made themselves, the more they benefited from instances of synchronicity and serendipity, the beneficial coincidences that exposed them at the right time to the right people who might be able to help them. When they mastered creating their own good luck, the third tipping point, they moved to the fourth, and that was the final tipping point and how the job found them. Here it is. As a result of other people beginning to help them, it felt like the job found them. And so successful job hunters managed to maintain the right mindset to make themselves more discoverable, more likable. They self-empowered themselves to make things happen and get things done with greater ease. And by getting out of their comfort zones, putting themselves into the right time, their friends, family members, associates, and networking contacts and recruiters, they were willing to help them with leads and referrals. They made themselves irresistible to employers. So when the opportunity finally came knocking, it really did feel like the job found them. So there you have it. The 4 tipping points provide the framework for veteran empowerment training, the primary learning modules. Jobs find you when you're ready. The 4 tipping points show you the path for how to vet empower the right mindset to improve your likability. As we said last week, any challenges you experience along the way, those are beneficial to your development. And when you learn to embrace those challenges, they can actually contribute to improving your readiness for when the job finds you. It all depends on the type of mindset you have. Not a deficit mindset, but a vet-empowered success mindset. Remember this. Employment in a new economy is about productivity, not patriotism. Why employers recruit vets in the first place is because by virtue of your military training and experience, they presume you to have the mental discipline to succeed in situations where civilian workers might not. They want your warrior spirit to improve their productivity and profits. And your job is to search where you're wanted, the vet-friendly employers get it, and then demonstrate your vet power and equity, thereby showing them you have what it takes, the vet power they're looking for. Well, that concludes our 3-part webinar series. Myself, Frank Campanaro, and Dick White, and all of the folks at vetpower.org, we hope you enjoyed these webinars and that you'll be enrolling soon in our new veteran empowerment training. Please pass the word along about this new resource. And thank you to the Disabled Veterans National Foundation, and thank you all for participating. Doug is about to conduct the final drawing for a set of our coaching guidebooks and instructional audios. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeff. That was outstanding.
It really was.
And thank you, Frank, as well. Wasn't sure if you were still on there. Yeah, that's mindset. Really, it's unbelievable. When employers see somebody across the table from them who's been out of work and is really just struggling, it comes off so clearly to the employer, and it disheartens the employer. And so that is absolutely true, that mindset has so much to it. That, again, thank you so much for joining our webinar series. We are going to archive these webinars on the DVNF website, and we're going to send them over to vetpower.org as well, so they can have for their own site. And check back soon if you're interested in hearing any of this information again. In the meantime, if you would like to get a hold of me, feel free to email me at dwalker@dvnf.org. And as Jeff mentioned on the drawing, we're gonna send those over to email, and so you will hear from whenever we do the drawing. So thank you, and we hope this is beneficial to you. And stay tuned in the future, because we will have more webinars from DVNF. Thank you, and have a good day.